China and New Zealand established diplomatic ties in the year 1972. So next year will be the year we celebrate the 45th anniversary of this relationship. And we are so glad to take notice that, to know that the relationship has been developing very steadily and healthily. And in the past few years, we have witnessed very impressive growth in terms of the bilateral contacts and the cooperations between our two countries. Particularly in the year 2014, we had the visit by our President Xi Jinping to New Zealand, during which the two countries have decided to develop or to target the relationship as a comprehensive and strategic partnership. And this relationship has really brought benefits to both sides. I could share with you some of the key figures, if you like. And for example, China is now the largest source of foreign students. We have as many as 60,000 Chinese young people studying in New Zealand. And China is the largest trading partner of New Zealand for 3 years already. And of course, China is the second largest source of country. It's the second largest source country of foreign visitors. So this shows that how this relationship have developed and how close this relationship has been. Yeah, I think the FTA agreement has given a big boost to this relationship since the year 2008. Actually, because of this agreement, I think both sides have benefited tremendously, especially the New Zealand side. If we could look at the amount of bilateral trade between our countries, the average growth rate between China and New Zealand is much bigger than the average rate of the trade relationship between New Zealand and other countries. So that shows the function and the benefits of this agreement. Yeah, you are absolutely right. And this is the one of the first between our two countries. New Zealand is the first country recognizing the market economy status of China, and also China is this FTA agreement between our two countries, the first one done between China and developed country. And it also shows the maturity of this relationship. Yeah, I would rather say that, of course, there are more opportunities than challenges. And as these two countries have already very sound basis for the enhancement of bilateral ties, and we have many opportunities, such as, for example, Chinese government introduced the One Belt, One Road initiative, and New Zealand is the natural extension of the maritime Silk Road, and I think there are a lot of opportunities could be explored by both sides, how we could take advantage of these initiatives to further enhance our bilateral relationship. And but of course, New Zealand is a country far away from China with a different social system. It doesn't mean that we could see eye to eye on all the issues. For example, how the New Zealand government tackles the One China policy, probably deal with issues related to Taiwan, and how we settle the disputes in the South China Sea, and all these issues. If you say that they are sort of challenges, I could say that there are some problems that are faced by these two governments. We need to handle those problems properly in order to not let these issues interrupt our sound relationship. I think, yeah, absolutely. And I think whenever something comes up, the two governments could respond very timely and try to find ways to settle those issues. Our consulate is the second Chinese Consulate General opened in New Zealand. The first one was set up in Auckland. And this consular office was opened by the end of 2011. So actually we have just celebrated our 5th anniversary of an opening up of a consulate. And we have 15 staff working in this consulate. and each of them has their own responsibility. And of course, the reasons why we open our consulate is based on several key reasons. And for example, we have a very large Chinese community living in Christchurch and living in South Island. We have the responsibility to take care of their interest. And also we have a lot of Chinese students studying here. We need to offer our assistance whenever needed. And of course, a lot of Kiwi friends and local, the Chinese people who have got the citizenship of New Zealand, if they want to go to visit China, they need to have the visas done. So the consulate also is responsible for issuing visa and other kinds of documentations. And also we do have consuls responsible for business and trade issues, cultural trade, commercial part, educational exchanges, and cultural exchanges. And also we have our section responsible for press issue, media contact.
So can I say you are the point of contact for anything China related in South Island?
Yeah, we are the representative of the Chinese government here in the South Island. As you mentioned, that the first wave of Chinese coming to New Zealand actually happened in the year 1860s when they came here as gold miners. And as we all know that the Chinese migrants were not fairly treated during that period of time. And since I came here, I had a lot of contacts with the local Chinese people and have attended many functions. To be frank with you, personally, I haven't heard complaints actually about the treatment from the New Zealand side. I think the Chinese community, as part of the ethnic minority groups living in Christchurch, most of them behave well, and they just abide by local rules and laws, and they have made great contributions to the local economic growth, economic development, and also to the well-being of the local communities. Of course, if you say that people might encounter some unpleasant encounters, I think that is also true, and you could imagine, for example, during the weekends, late in the evening, if some local people had some few drinks, and you might encounter some unpleasant treatment. But I do not want to use the word racism. I don't think that belongs to that sort of category. I think mostly just people think that you come from different country. In some way you might not behave as the Kiwi. It's a sort of misconception. Just one or two cases, but it's not a big issue. No. I do not want to comment on precise projects, but I want to stress that we hope that the Chinese companies and the investors could get the equal treatment as the foreign partners. And I could also share with you that along with the fast growth of bilateral trade relationship, more and more Chinese entrepreneurs and investors have shown interest in coming here to New Zealand to find opportunities for the business development. And this is a mutually beneficial arrangement. And I'm so glad to see that in the past few years we have seen some successful examples that with the help of Chinese investment here in New Zealand, the local companies have entered a new era of development. As we all know that if we talk about the purchase of farmland by foreign companies, China is not number one country. And also, I want to say that when we look at the whole picture of bilateral investment, the New Zealand companies such as Fonterra and several others have made the investment and continuously in China and have made good profits. At the same time, we have witnessed a steady increase of investment from China here in New Zealand. According to the figure released by the New Zealand government, by the end of March this year, the total volume of investment coming from Chinese mainland and Hong Kong amounts to 14 billion New Zealand dollars, making China the fourth largest country in terms of volume of investment among the foreign countries. So I think that's a good signal to show that generally speaking, the investment from both sides in the opposite countries have developed steadily.
Yeah. So again, just to stress upon what you said. So you want the Chinese investment, Chinese companies coming here, they should be treated in equal terms.
Equally, on an equal footing.
Equal footing.
Yeah. I personally have read some reports in the local publications, newspapers, and also local TV stations about the robberies done to those in those dairies, and as you mentioned, some of the owners of those dairy shops are Chinese, overseas Chinese. Of course, we are very concerned with these incidents, and we want to see those cases could be dealt with promptly by the New Zealand government organizations. I personally actually have shared my view with the local police to see that what can we do together or to prevent actually from these things, prevent the things from happening. I think these robbery issues, as the figure released from the local police shows, that has increased somewhat, and we, of course, as officials representing the Chinese government, we want to see the properties and the securities of those overseas Chinese could be properly protected by the New Zealand government. So therefore, it's our wish to see those things solved, and hopefully not such kind of incidents could happen again. And regarding the other law and order issue, like some Chinese overseas students attacked by the local people, and we also, I think we, not only in Auckland, here in South Island, we encounter one or two cases like this. And whenever that things happen, the Chinese Consulate is in the position to offer assistance whenever needed, and also try our best to get the information across to the relevant department here in Christchurch or elsewhere in South Island, and let them to take some measures to solve the issue. I mean, it's not a very prominent issue. It's not a prominent issue, and but it's my wish to see this issue properly settled. I think it's a rather complicated issue. Of course, I think it's in everyone's interest to see more Chinese visitors coming to New Zealand, and the New Zealand government has made it very clearly that they welcome foreign visitors, and including the Chinese visitors. And also, in the past few years, we have witnessed a very impressive growth of a number of Chinese visitors coming to New Zealand. And this year, I think in the years to come, we'll witness the same momentum. And but as you know, that we have different traffic regulations in China and here in New Zealand. So therefore, it might be the Chinese visitors might encounter some difficulties in getting used to the road conditions and traffic regulations, and here in New Zealand, once they are here and get their cars rented and on the roads. And I think it's the responsibility of both the Chinese side and of course the New Zealand side to share some important information well in advance to those Chinese visitors. And I think that is the things done by both sides in the past several years. The Chinese Consulate here, we have published a very, I think, a very impressive brochure containing all the important and necessary information regarding the road conditions and traffic rules here in South Island. And
it's in Mandarin?
Yeah, it's a reminder, and it is in Chinese.
Yeah.
And we have this publication distributed with the help of local car rental companies. When the Chinese visitors come and rent the cars, they could get one copy of this. And also my colleagues in our embassy in Wellington and also in Auckland, they have taken various measures to cooperate with the New Zealand sides. And I also do know that the New Zealand governments have done something very similar in the foreign missions based in China.